Trust me, not a lot, but he will, as the saying goes, it's a catchphrase. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Chris Ingold! That's what I've got. That's amazing. Okay, The Economist said a couple of weeks ago that we are all condemned to have our jobs taken away by robots, and then we'll be condemned to a life of, kind of like enforced leisure and misery and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not sure I believe him, because we've been saying this for 30 years. It's kind of a sci-fi sort of stable. But it made me kind of wonder about how, at work, we so often treat people and treat each other as though we wish we were all more like super intelligent robots rather than like human beings. Because we all don't think we're human beings. We come up with a new plan or policy or direction, and then we want all the other people to basically execute that as though they're a machine that did exactly what it was that we were intended and nothing else. But of course people want to have some freedom. And the civil service have an industry out of this, and so do bureaucracies. If you look at the best practice standards for program and project management and stuff, you find that they say that plans do everything. So a plan gets up and walks along with bills to school, or a plan gets up and implements a computer system, or a plan goes and talks to people. You don't need to talk to them yourself, the plan will do it for you. And it's a complete farce. It's so fancy. Now plans, according to Eisenhower, are completely useless, but he was talking about going into battle. Kind of once you're in battle, the plan is irrelevant. It's all about planning. And plans aren't useless in organisations. We can't just simply say that, because if you write down what it is you're intending on doing, it's useful for sort of if you need to be held accountable, it's useful for you to remember what you plan to do, it's useful for you to show somebody what you plan to do. But planning is more important, it's less robotic, because it's about thinking about something that you're going to do as a human being, and then getting that inside your brain so that you understand it better, so that you can actually do something with it as a human being. If you just give a plan to somebody who hasn't done any of the planning and just go off, then they're a mindless person with instructions rather than a mindful person who spends time. So a robot would be better. It will probably do the job more practical. And of course, plans don't deliver anything, people do, and that worries people. See, the other problem with people, as opposed to robots, is that people are actually pretty valueless if you're a business. So we're not worth anything, we're just a cost. Now, if a business goes out and buys 200 robots, that is a capital asset. They belong to that business, they're on the balance sheet. People just cost money and wages. Now, of course, robots cost, they depreciate over time. But if you're the chief executive, who cares? Because chances are your bonus is measured on something called EBITDA, which excludes depreciation. So actually that cost doesn't matter to you because you're getting your bonus anyway. It simply doesn't matter. So, obviously, easy answer to this, right? We need to value people as an asset, as part of the company. People are working on this, thinking, that's it, how do we value people? Bad idea. I'm not kind of thinking about this because I've often said this in the past, of sort of pub conversations, because people used to be valued as assets in a company. 200 years ago, people were valued in assets as part of a company. If we go back to the slave trade, there are accounts that you can find where people are listed and they have been depreciated over a number of years. The lifespan of a slave, to the point where basically they're useless, renting, may as well shoot them, had been calculated down to the point, and depreciation marked against them in accounts. In fact, if you look at modern management standards that apparently emerged in the 30s, you can find historical evidence of these. Again, 200 years ago, activity-based costing, doing it in the slave trade, check. They even did things like performance reviews and incentive structures and all the kind of things you see in modern management. So, it's not an answer. So why is it that we're all scared of real people? I think it's something we're scared of risk, we're scared of diversity, we're scared of difference. And we have this whole language where we can't even talk about diversity. Because diversity means the exact opposite of diversity. We go to an HR department, we talk about 1,000,001 different types of people, and all those types are registered in terms of fairness of recruitment and have nothing whatsoever to do with what actually makes us different. And at the end of it, we say we've got all these different types of people, and actually we've got to treat them all the same. What about actually treating people different and working with the qualities that make us different people? So when it comes down to it, we've got a problem, and it's not easy, it's not a problem we can solve with rules. Basically, companies are based around the principle that they are there to make money, and in order to make money, they need to provide a secure and satisfying workplace, somewhere that you feel happy working in. But robots don't need that, so actually you can do away with the robots. With the people rather than just leave the robots. Where you get screwed is that if everybody does this, you end up with an entire world staffed by robots and no people, and of course no customers then. It's a prisoner's dilemma. If everybody does it, everybody's screwed. So what you actually need is the opposite. You say that the principle is that we need a wholesome life for everybody, whoever they are, and we try and make the best of them, in which case we use robots only where we want to. But the problem is that as we've seen all across the world, you can't legislate for this, because what we're trying to do is to treat everyone as an individual. And I tried to think, what is the answer to this? And I can only find out with one possible thing from my memory. If each and every one of us does that, we're fine. If not, the robots have won. We're fucked. Thanks very much.